Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Hearthstone Rise of Shadows expansion reveal season is on the way, and over the past 24 hours we have got another 8 new cards. These cards have been revealed over the past day. There's Batterhead, a neutral rush minion, there's Vendetta, some rogue cards for Thief Rogue, Eager Underling, a 2-ish type of Warlock card, 9 lives, Deathrattle Hunter card, Magic Trick, a cheap spell for Mage, Plot Twist, an interesting re-mulligan card for Warlock, Crystal Song Portal, a value card for Druid, and Druid of the Acorn. That's a translation, I don't know what the official name is going to be yet, and it seems that Hearthstone is taking a break for weekend, so they have not revealed the name on the official site. Anyway, a token Druid 1-drop. That's some interesting stuff. Let's take a look at them in detail. First of all, there's Batterhead. 8 mana 3/12 with Rush. After this attacks and kills a minion, it may attack again. Okay, so it's a rusher, you play it from hand, you start attacking. As long as that 3 attack is enough to kill stuff, then it can just wipe boards. A fairly interesting card. Think about the current Rush Warrior, for example. They're playing Scourgelord Garrosh, which is often the way that the Rush Warrior opens up the board in order to push face with the existing minions. And Batterhead, well, Scourgelord Garrosh rotates out of standard. Batterhead costs the same amount of mana. It can do same kind of things with Rush. If you can draw it from Akali, okay, that's awesome, get some bonus. If you have Spirit of the Rhino in your deck, and Batterhead is immune, then it can really clean up some boards. Quite a lot of opportunities here. And it's a neutral card, so it's not just a warrior card. Maybe you run it in Priest and you have stuff like Inner Fire. I guess that's pretty unlikely actually, because without Shadow Visions you don't want to waste any Inner Fires. But definitely an interesting card, especially if you're going to see a bunch of token decks, then Batterhead is a good card. It's just an anti-token deck card potentially also for many decks. Then we have a new Warlock minion, Eager Underling, a 4-mana 2/2 with a Deathrattle, give 2 random friendly minions +2/+2. So that's like 6/6 stats for 4 mana, and Fungalmancer was just 6/6 stats for 5 mana. That's so good. No, it really isn't. It really isn't. Because it's a Deathrattle and not a battle cry. So it being a Deathrattle means that, okay, well, you might think about, okay, I play the Underling and I Grim Rally the Underling. +3/+3 to 2 minions, everything else gets +1/+1. But kind of no. Then you're effectively using 4 mana to give +4/+4. And that's split in 2 parts and to random targets. In order to really get the value of all the stats, that would mean that the Underling would have to survive your turn, and then you no longer have control over what it buffs. So we used to have a card like this, Spawn of N'Zoth, earlier. 3 mana 2/2, Deathrattle, give your minions +1/+1, completely unplayable. And I don't expect the Eager Underling to be playable either. There's just a big difference between the battle cry of the Fungalmancer and the Deathrattle of the Underling. It seems that Mage is going from one extreme to another. We used to have Big Spell Mage. Big Spell Mage was a thing for around a year and a half. Mage needed to play big spells. Now Mage seems to want to play small spells. Magic Trick. 1 mana, discover a spell that costs 3 or less. So obviously this card is useful in a deck that wants to cycle a lot of spells, but you need a reason to cycle those spells. You need to gain some kind of benefit from that. Oh, if we only had Flamebreaker left, that would be a big benefit. But we have Vexcrow, and we have Archmage Antonidas. Then we have these sort of cheap spells, and we have Mana Cyclone that we can also use to recycle some spells. So there might be something into it. Just this very fast, small, cheap stuff, recycle, get some effects alongside those. We'll see if an actual deck can be made out of this or not. New Druid spell, Crystal Song Portal, a 2 mana spell. Discover a Druid minion. If you have no minions in your hand, keep all 3. So 2 mana to potentially generate 3 cards. That's pretty awesome, to be honest. It reminds me a little bit of Master's Call, which of course made Hunter much what Hunter is right now. Discover minion in a deck, if all 3 are beasts, draw them all. Master's Call obviously gives you minions that you already put in your deck. They are all synergizing with each other, whereas Crystal Song Portal gives you class minions. But Druid class minions aren't too bad. So some kind of a spell druid maybe? There are archetypes that could be interested in a card like this, but we just don't have the exact list yet that would actually run it. But that's a lot of value. And also because the card itself only costs 2 mana, so if you play this late in the game, you have mana to actually play those minions too. So really interesting card. A new Druid 1-drop. I'm not sure if this will be the final name, Druid of the Acorn. We don't have the official Blizzard version yet. But a 1 mana 2/1 anyway, with a deathrattle to add 2 1/1 squirrels into your hand. So it's definitely a 1-drop that something like Token Druid is interested in. You get on the board, 2 attack, so it can fight pretty well. Even though the 1 health means that it's also easily traded away. You get some more tokens that you can either play immediately, or maybe you can save them and play them later together with stuff like Soul of the Forest in order to use that token strategy. Also getting some cards into your hand so your Whispering Woods is better. So this looks like a really great card for Token Druid. Also, Blizzard is pushing Thief Rogue. And this is a kind of card that really pushes an archetype. Vendetta. 4 mana, deal 4 damage to a minion, cost 0 if you're holding a card from another class. And compared to even something like Wing Blast, which is already a pretty big tempo play, 4 mana, deal 4 damage to a minion, if a minion died this turn this costs 1. Well, Vendetta, the condition is really easy to fulfill for a Thief Rogue deck. You could play like Blink Fox and Vendetta on the same turn. That's just the insane tempo. So if you thought, like I have thought, that Academic Espionage is kind of a meme, then these new cards that Blizzard is now giving the archetype are making it much less of a meme and an actual serious contender. A new Hunter spell, 9 lives, 3 mana spell. Discover a friendly deathrattle minion that died this game, also trigger its deathrattle. So I assume that you get the card into your hand, you don't actually get it on the board. That would be insane, of course, if it also summoned the card on the board. But it also triggers its deathrattle. So if you're thinking what I'm thinking, then you're thinking about Mech Hunter. Spider Bomb is still in standard. Mechanical Whelp is still in standard. Fireworks Tech is still in standard. Oblivitron. Yeah, somehow Blizzard just now seems to be making these really weird and generally pretty bad legendary cards that are then given insane support cards just so that they will become playable. And maybe this is the type of package that makes Oblivitron also playable. Oblivitron has died, you discover an Oblivitron, you get Oblivitron in your hand, you trigger the deathrattle, so you summon a mech from your hand. And you trigger its deathrattle, so then if you summon the Oblivitron and you have like also Mechanical Whelp in your hand and Mind Boggles. And even if you use this to discover Spider Bomb, let's say Spider Bomb has died in the early game, and you trigger the deathrattle of the Spider Bomb, well, you get a Spider Bomb in your hand, and you play a Deadly Shot. A Deadly Shot also costs 3, and this spell costs 3. That's a really strong spell. Finally, also in line of let's make bad cards into good cards, is Plot Twist. A Warlock class card, a 2 mana spell, shuffle your hand into your deck, draw that many cards. Well, suddenly Fellord Petruk, which looked like the worst legendary of this entire set, looks like there might actually be a deck where it could see play. Because you could play Fellord Petruk, and then you could play Plot Twist. You're playing some kind of control type of Warlock. You shuffle a bunch of cards into your deck, you draw a bunch of cards, you summon copies of all the minions that you draw, and those effectively give you a board clear. And there's just a lot of other potential uses for this card, like all these bad cards that really, because you can't control the draws well enough, stuff like Dolmastodorian, stuff like Untamed Beastmaster, suddenly become much better cards when you can combine them with Plot Twist. Or you can play Solarium, draw 3 extra cards, play Plot Twist, turn those cards into permanent cards instead of temporary cards. And Plot Twist only costs 2 mana, so you can combine it with so many things. You could also build a Fatigue Warlock and go infinite with Augmented Elec and Plot Twist. If you have Augmented Elec on the board when you play Plot Twist, what happens is that, let's say you have 4 cards in your hand. You shuffle 8 cards into a deck, because Augmented Elec duplicates them all, and you will draw as many as you originally had in your hand. So you will draw that 4. So this is a dead man's hand basically, this combination, because you can just multiply stuff. And if you play Plot Twist when you have a Plot Twist in hand, and you have Augmented Elec on the board, then you shuffle 2 Plot Twists into your deck, so then you can go again. So Warlock now has access to an infinity engine. They do not have to go to Fatigue ever. There's just so many things that you can potentially do with Plot Twist, it's crazy. And all that for just 2 mana. Even if like you're missing a couple of damage from lethal, you have 5 cards in your hand, you play Plot Twist, you draw another bunch of cards. Well, if you didn't have lethal already, then maybe you can use this to find it. A really spectacular card, and one that makes a lot of these older cards also that were not that good before, makes them worth much more consideration. That was the package for today, so really interesting stuff. Some bad stuff, but really powerful support for Token Druid, Mech Hunter, Thief Rogue, Small Spell Mage, Fatigue Warlock or something, and just a lot of very powerful cards. There's still a couple of more days to go in the reveal season, and I will be reviewing more cards again on Monday. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.